Hey guys, Sandy here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Making with the Manufacturers. Now I did get that around the block, one piece of paper used up. Decided to grab it. This Arctic Frog paper still chilling out there, and then of course going through the Authentique papers. Now I did decide to do Authentique 2 times, once last Monday and once this Monday, because I do have a good amount of it. So that was a quick flip through. Not exactly sure which ones I'm going to grab yet, but I just want you to be able to see the gorgeousness that is these papers. So let's see what I can do. All right, guys, so these are the papers I chose. This green paper right here, that is a shamrock pattern paper. It is a St. Patrick's Day paper, but we are not going to use it that way. You're just going to see a little bit of the color around the edges of my photos, so you're not even going to realize that this is a St. Patrick's Day paper. I did decide to go with that green to pull out the green in the floral pattern paper right underneath of it. And then I have this yellow arrow paper over here to the left, and of course that beautiful red kind of barn slat wood grain that is over here way on the bottom underneath of the right. So I decided to leave my photos as full 4x6 photos. What that does is give me a full picture of what is going on. Now I do enjoy using 6x6 paper pads and trimming my 4x6 photos down to 4 by 5.5. Most of the time I don't think it really makes a difference. I just really wanted everything in these photos, especially the facial expressions of my husband as he was opening up his birthday presents. So I went ahead and tore that floral paper so that I would have that nice torn edge against the wood grain, because I think that is gorgeous. I end up covering most of it up just because of photo placement, which is fine as well. But I do love the look of a torn flower over top of a distressed wood grain. I think that it's just beautiful. I grabbed some washi tape. Now this is some My Mind's Eye washi tape that I received when I purchased a couple My Mind's Eye lines. They had them on a ridiculous sale a little while ago. Pretty sure I did a haul video for that. So I went ahead and placed that down there. And then, of course, I'm going to put these arrows going off into one direction. I decide not to take the arrows and go all the way across the page, but to go ahead and leave some of that red right there. Now, I am futzing around with these photos because I want to have, like I said, my husband's facial expressions in them. And I want to be able to see all of the facial expressions. And I also don't want to cover everything up because, you know, I particularly picked out these papers because I liked them together so much. I did toy with the idea of going with 2 photos on one side and then going and adding another photo over here on the left-hand side and making a double page layout. But ultimately, I decided that I would kind of bundle the photos together, and then I liked how that came out. So I figured out where the placement worked for me, and then I flipped the entire layout, photos and all over, and that way I could kind of keep that placement exactly where I wanted it. So of course I'm going to add more adhesive because nobody wants their photos falling off of the page. It's super embarrassing. It's really embarrassing to have your photos fall off a page when you're doing your layout share, because then you know you didn't put enough adhesive on it. So I am thinking about what else I'm going to do to this layout. I have this one little gold sticker that's been kind of chilling for a little while. So I decided that this bad boy was going to make it onto the layout, so I get rid of that packaging. Hooray! I love it when I get rid of packaging. I tell you guys, I could go through my room once a month and clean out packaging, and I always have a ton of it to get rid of. It's like, didn't I just do this? Seriously, the packaging drives me insane. I am a combiner for my packaging, so when sticker sheets and things like that get low enough, I will combine them onto other sticker sheets, so I don't feel like I have to keep everything in its original packaging. If I did that, I would lose half the space in my room, right? Like packaging takes up space, and I would much rather have space in my room for actual stuff. So I'm using these big old white Prima flowers, and I'm just trying to figure out what I want to put in the center of them. They are big flowers, so they do need something in the center. I grab one of these flare right here. It is a blue flare, and I hope that it picks up the blue in the pattern paper a little bit more, and that blue kind of comes out and is a little bit more prevalent on the page. I also decide to grab the Practically Perfect brads, which is basically a Mary Poppins line. And then I'm going to use those to insert into the flowers as well. Now, I felt like I needed a little bit more on this layout besides flowers, so I grab these word phrases. These are from P13. And I wanted to have 3 word phrases, but they really didn't all go together. Like, there were plenty of sentiments on there that I could use, but the sentiments themselves didn't fit well together, if that makes any sense. Then I went ahead and dug into my stash a little bit more and got out my felt flowers. And I decided to add these red ones below the brads on top of the white flowers. That's just going to give me a little bit more texture and a little bit more interest on this page, as opposed to just here's a white flower with a brad center. It's going to be here is a layered flower with a brad center. I did go searching in my thickers to do a ready-made title. I really wasn't sure what I was going to come up with. I ended up with this gold Celebrate. I figured that was perfect. This is a birthday layout. I used to always do really themey birthday layouts, but I'm finding that I am less inclined to do themey than ever before. And that's okay, because, you know, my scrapbooking is evolving and it's changing, and I'm finding things that I used to love. I'm, you know, re-loving them, and I'm finding things that I used to always do. I'm just kind of shying away from that. I think that's the beauty of scrapbooking, is like you can play in so many different ways with so many different mediums and textures and papers and all the pretty things. So you aren't really stuck in one method of scrapbooking. So I am going to get these guys on here. I did decide to go ahead with those blue big ol' rhinestone brads here. That definitely pops with that big old blue striped flare. I did pull the flare off because I was going back and forth on this page and it wasn't sticking. The great thing about these flares, they're from Dottie About Flare, is that a little piece of fun foam will fit perfectly within that flare, and it gives you the perfect lift to be able to adhere the flare to the page. But like I said, I'm flipping it over constantly, and it's, you know, just wasn't worth it. So now that all the brads are over and the flare is on there and the glue is dried, it's stuck there pretty good. It's not going anywhere. Of course, I am putting washi tape on the back of my layout so my brad tines don't scratch anything up. And that is going to do it for this layout. You guys, thank you so much for joining me for another Making with the Manufacturers. We are through all of my A manufacturers. Next time we're going to move on to the B's. So it's taken a while, but there's a lot of manufacturers. At least there used to be. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you again real soon for another video.